Welcome to Watching the Horizon. I'm Jake. Now today we're going to be doing things a little bit differently. As you can see, we're in my kitchen. We're going to talk a little bit about food preservation, more specifically jerky. And if you haven't already guessed by the title, we are going to be making the oh so controversial chicken jerky. Now, I don't like my jerky sweet. Any kind of jerky. I don't like to add sugar or honey or anything like that. I'm a little bit of a purist when it comes to that kind of thing. I really go for just, salted and dehydrated. That's more my thing. I might add some liquid smoke, which we can talk about, but I don't go for the big, 20 secret herbs and spices kind of thing when it comes to jerky. So this video is going to be pretty simple, but I'm going to show you how I make chicken jerky, and it is fabulous. It's absolutely delicious. It's 100% safe, and if you have any question at all, I will actually show you how to make it safe. If you think that there's an issue with my method here, there is one step that you can take to just absolutely make sure that there's not going to be any problem with it. Anyway, let's get to it. So to get things started, let's talk marinade. Well, it's sort of a marinade. It's more of a brine. Let's talk about brine. I like to get this started first. You'll see why here in a second. I like to use a bowl, but you can use a large ziploc baggie or like a gallon-sized baggie. I just go with the bowl because it's just easier for me. Start with a couple cups of water. We're going to put this in the bowl. And then I've got about a tablespoon to a tablespoon and a half of kosher salt. It's approximate. You can use about as much or as little as you want. So let's add that in there. Now I don't normally put liquid smoke in it, but you most certainly can. I've heard some people say to wait to add the liquid smoke until the very, very end, like after the meat has already dried. You get more bang for your buck and you use less. You can put it in now, put it in then, whatever you like. For this one, let's go ahead and do it. I'll put in a little bit. And by a little bit, that's probably too much, but it'll be okay. It does smell good though. What do we got? Hickory. All right, I just picked that up at the local grocery store. And we'll mix that up. Nothing has to be perfect here, folks. Yes, my hands are clean. I already washed them. All right. Let's talk chicken. So I've got 4 chicken breasts here. I haven't done anything to them yet. I did thaw them out. They're pretty cold. Probably better to do this while they're still a little bit frozen. Makes the cutting go a little bit easier. But first thing we're going to do is we're going to trim off all of this fat here. So let's go ahead and get started. Make sure your knife is sharp. And then I apologize, guys. I've not done like a cooking video before, so this whole thing's kind of new to me. All right. How's that? Can you see? Okay. So we're going to go ahead and trim the fat off because in our dehydration process, the fat causes a problem. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect when it comes to trimming all the fat off, like that stuff right there. I'm not going to worry about it. It's fine. But now what we're going to do is we're going to slice this into bite-sized chunks. Well, into sticks, really. And you can do it however you want. Now, for the chicken breast, you'll see that the grain goes across like this. Some people will tell you you absolutely should cut with the grain. Some people will say go against the grain. I've done it both ways. It does not matter. It really does not matter. Go for the size is what counts. Obviously, if you cut long ways, you'll get longer sticks. If you go this way, you'll get shorter sticks, but you'll get more of them depending on, how thick you decide to cut. So we'll do I just throw them in the bowl. Like for example, there's a good piece. I don't know, what is that? Not quite a 1/4 inch or so? Tough to say. Honestly, there's no real wrong way to do this. I mean, it is possible, I guess, that you can cut these slices too thick, but you can't really cut them too small, or rather too thin. Because what happens is when we put this in the dehydrator, the really thin bits, they get crunchy. And if you like crunchy jerky, then awesome. This stuff, when it gets crunchy, is just like, it's just delicious. I was gonna say chicken candy, but that doesn't actually spawn very many delightful thoughts. But it is quite good. I enjoy the little crunchy bits. If I cut myself, I'll be sure to include it in the video because, you know, if it bleeds, it leads, or something like that. On another note, depending on how thick you cut this stuff, will determine how long you need to let it soak in the marinade. Like this guy right here, that's pretty thick. That's like a 1/4 inch. And something thick like this is going to take longer to soak, so to speak. I usually only let these soak for a little while, like not even an hour, because they're so thin. But if you do like a lot of really thick pieces, you may have to let it soak longer. But like I said, there's not a lot of wrong ways to do this. I haven't made a bad batch. So we got a lot of connective stuff up here at the top. I just like to cut it off. I still use it, but I like to cut it off because it detracts from the nice long pieces. And I do have a little dog that I will sometimes cook this stuff up for, like the scraps that I don't use. And that way I've got some all natural chicken treats I keep in the fridge for her whenever she's good. But like, yeah, that I'll cut that up and save it for the dog. All right, let's go do another one here, kind of a little bit more close so you can see. Again, we're gonna take the big old chunks of fat off. I don't throw them away. Like I said, I like to keep them for my little pupper there. I'll cook it up and give it to her as treats. All right, I still have 2 more to do. I'm gonna go do those. I'll be right back with you. All right, so I'm back. I finished cutting up all of the chicken breasts, and it's all marinating in this salt water right here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna put some saran wrap on this, some professional plastic food wrap film, if you will, and put it in the fridge. And I don't know, maybe give it like an hour. If that, it doesn't have to be very long. Anyway, let's wrap this up, get it in the fridge. Now I do like to get all the air out, so I'll actually push it down so that it's touching. It seals in the flavor. All right, there we go. Easy peasy. All right, it's going in the fridge, and I'll see you when we bring it back out. All right, guys, we're back, and it's been about an hour. The chicken has been soaking in the brine solution for a good long while now, and it's nice and chilled and saturated. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna now put this into our dehydrator. This is the Nesco Professional Food and Jerky Dehydrator. Got it on Amazon. This was the highest rated, least expensive dehydrator that I could find. And honestly, it's money well spent. You just can't go wrong with this thing. I love it. I did go ahead and opt to buy the extra racks. There's actually like 13 of them, because when I make my chicken jerky, I don't do just 4 at a time. That's just for the sake of the video. I like to make, you know, close to 8, 9, 10 at a time and really fill this thing up. Anyway, all right, so let's get things started. So we'll start at the bottom here. Show you how it's done. No big deal. Let's just go ahead and just place them on the rack like that. Oh, you know what? What I normally do, I'll drain this chicken off. Man, respect to those guys that do cooking videos on a regular basis. I don't know if this is even gonna turn out, but we're doing it. Okay, so we'll just lay them on as best we can. Try so that they don't touch. You can get them as close together as you want. All right, there we go. We're gonna fill the spaces best we can. I probably could fit a little bit more on there, but like I said, we've only got 4 chicken breasts today, so it's not a big deal. We'll go ahead and grab another rack, and I'm just gonna keep going until I run out of chicken. Okay, so we're all done cutting it up, putting it on the racks, and I went ahead and put the lid on. It just fits right on the top like that. And I crank it all the way to the highest setting. And this is for 160 Fahrenheit. That's for your meats and jerkies. Should take about 12 hours or so, maybe a little bit less, depending on your humidity in the area, maybe a little more. But how you know it's done is that you'll be able to snap it in half. But I'll show you that. It's really not that loud, and there's no smell to it. So unlike, you know, your traditional, you know, beef jerky, especially if you use those really pungent, you know, marinades, I mean it can be pleasant, but can also be overpowering. With this stuff, the way that I make it, it's really no big deal at all. You can't even really tell what's going on, other than a little bit of white noise in the background. So, all right, we'll be back when it's done, and I'll show you where we're at with the final product. Okay, welcome back. It's been a little bit longer than 12 hours. I've unplugged it, it's been turned off, and so let's just take a quick look so you can see what the final product's gonna look like. And here you go. So here's an example of like some of those small pieces. They get small, brittle, they're crunchy. They're so good. My dog's in here now, she's excited. Here's one of those big pieces. So it's totally dehydrated. You can even see a little bit of the salt crystals that had formed on there. Absolutely delicious. Because we only used kosher salt, we did not use the preservative salt. You're not going to want to leave this out on the counter. I mean, you probably could, it wouldn't be a big deal, but you can put it in the fridge, put it in the freezer, and it's going to be awesome. For long-term storage, you're going to want to use the other kind of the jerky salt. I'll put a link in the description of the name of that salt. It's pretty common, I just can't think of it right now. But anyway, so this is it. That's the finished product. Here's another really long piece. I'm telling you guys, this stuff is so good. Now, if for some reason you're like really kind of off-put by the idea of chicken jerky and that this was only in the dehydrator, if you just can't get over that in your head that maybe it's not safe, no big deal. Just preheat your oven to 200 degrees and then put this stuff on like a cookie sheet or something like that and throw it in there for like 5 minutes. There's no water in this, obviously, so for the internal temperature to get high enough won't take very long at all. So yeah, 5 minutes, 200 degrees, no big deal. Pull it out, and you're good to go. So anyway, chicken jerky, folks. This stuff is delicious. Don't take my word for it. Seriously, go try it yourself. Super easy. And anyway, I appreciate you watching. Be sure to keep your eyes open.